Hi, I'm Linda Mihara, and in today's class, I'm going to show you a wonderful model, which is this persimmon, and it's actually two pieces of paper. And depending on your color choice, you could certainly do a nice, beautiful orange persimmon color with the green top, or you can make a tomato. It's the same shape, and it just depends on your paper choice to make whichever one you want to make. For this class, I recommend using a 6-inch by 6-inch for the persimmon, and then a 3-inch by 3-inch to make the green top up in here. So it's just 1/4 of the size paper that you're using. For the top, it's great if you have like taunt, which is the same color on both sides, but certainly you make a wonderful persimmon with just single-sided origami paper as well. So go ahead and grab those two sheets and let's get started. So for the purposes of this class, I'm using a larger square, 9 3/4 inches for the persimmon part, and then 1/4 of that size for the topper. That's the correct proportion. But when I fold with a larger sheet, it's easier for you to see what we're doing at home. You want to begin by having it with the color side face down. And what we want to do is divide this into thirds. And the best way to do this, you can certainly take your ruler and make your mark every third. If you're doing 6-inch, it's every 2 inches. You make a mark and then you make your fold. I like to go ahead and do it manually by eye. And the best way to do that is to kind of make an S in the paper, like what I'm doing here. And when you overlap it, you can actually kind of shift the paper till you can see if they're even, creating thirds. I'm going to adjust this just a little bit more so you can kind of slide one flap over, put a little pinch there to see if you're accurate. And so that looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to go ahead and make pinch marks here. I've just divided it into thirds, and let's go ahead and open it up. Again, color side face down. Let's go ahead and use those marks to create our third folds. And it's helpful to use your outside edges to make sure that you're straight whenever you've got one side marked. Okay, and then you could follow with your creasing tool here. Let's go ahead and unfold that, and let's fold the other part of the third. I'm going to rotate my paper, a little bit easier for me to do that forward. And then let's go ahead and use that pinch mark, which is here. Make sure my outside edges are lined up, which they are, and make our crease like this, and then follow with the creasing tool like this. So we need to create the thirds going this way, but before we do that, there's an easy way to kind of sidestep this. Let's go ahead and rotate the paper and fold it into a triangle. So when you do that, you want to line up your points here. Once it's set, you want to hold it in place, pull straight down the middle, and then go from the middle to the outside. That way the paper doesn't shift on you, and you have a nice, accurate triangle. Let's follow with our creasing tool. Let's open it up, and let's go ahead and rotate and do the other triangle. And again, line up your points, pull straight down the middle, go from the middle to the outside, and let's go ahead and use our creasing tool. Now, what we have to do is you've created two landmarks right here where the diagonals meet those vertical thirds that we've just created. So these are our marks that are going to help us do the thirds going this way. So you recognize where those intersections are. So you could bring the lower flap up and bring it right to that intersection. And you can use these fold lines to make sure that you're square, as well as making sure your outside edges are square. Okay, that's this fold. And let's go ahead and reinforce with the creasing tool. I'm going to open this, rotate, and let's fold the other third. Should line up really nicely like that. And then follow with your creasing tool. And let's unfold. So now you have this crease. You have this crease. You also have this and this. and these two. Okay, so your paper should have these folds, and these are all valley folds. The next step is we're going to collapse this, and it's actually a pretty famous model called a Tato envelope. This is the first part of that Tato envelope. What we're going to do is create kind of a windmill that comes out of this square here. The way we do that is we're going to make a couple of pre-creases with these corners first. So you know these are valley folds. So you want to take and pinch up until that first crease line. Let's go ahead and pinch those in place and kind of get it set for the collapse. So it should kind of look like a bowl now. It kind of sits out from the table. Let's start with this lower left-hand point here. And what we're going to do is pinch the flap. And then you're going to bring this left-hand part of the paper in so that it puts squarely onto the center square. And then you're going to take this point and pull it off to the left, making this square join the party here in the middle. And then you're going to fold it. So this all should go in one motion. So again, you're pinching this corner. You're going to bring it up. As you bring this flap down, this will flatten. And then you continue and bring that off to the left. And then it sits nice and flat here. And here's your center square. And we're going to go ahead and work going we're going actually clockwise. Well, actually counterclockwise to create the rest of the flaps. So now we're going to take this corner here and let's repinch it into a point. And now this time what's going to happen is this is going to come downwards like this. And this square now sits right here in the center. And this point comes down here like this. So your model should look just like this. Now we're going to take this point here. Let's go ahead and pinch it. And the goal is we need to bring this down here, but we still have this fourth flap that's kind of tucked in here. So what we want to do is pinch this. Let's release this by pinching this flap like this. So you pinch this corner, and what's going to happen is you bring it down. And then it'll flatten like that. So again, you want to pinch this flap, pinch this flap so you have these 2 points. Think of them as like little rabbit ears or ears. Pinch this, and then you're bringing it forward and down so that again, this square, you have a stack of these squares here in the middle. And then we take this point, and you see we have these, there's 2 that are here. You're just going to take this point and we're going to bring it up at an angle like this. We're just opening it up and it'll present itself and look like this, which is great. So once you have this, let's go ahead and use our creasing tool all the way around. So your model will look like this. Now the next step is we're going to start shaping the persimmon, and it's an easy way by opening these pockets. What we want to do is take this folded edge here. So we'll orient your model just like this in camera, that you see on camera. We're going to take this folded edge here, and we're going to bring it to meet this folded edge here. So that means it's going to be, you see this triangle? I'm going to fold the triangle in half. That's what happens when you do this. So this comes up like that. Once you do that, you're going to fold this all the way into the pocket. Now, right now, this is sitting straight up from the model. It's that one side of the persimmon. Give this a good crease like this. And then you see there's a fold line here. You want to take this and carefully pinch the base, which is the edge of that square. Let's just reinforce that crease right there. Okay. And let's continue. So let's go ahead and rotate it clockwise. Let's take this next flap. So this next flap again, you're going to take this folded edge and bring it to this diagonal layer here, folding that triangle in half. Start folding from the center, work your way out to the corner till it pops open like this. And then take this flap and bring it to the center and pinch the edge here of the square. Let me lift this up so you can see. It's just here. You can lift it up and pinch it if you want to. You just want to put that crease in place there. Okay. So let's go ahead and continue. Let's rotate. Lift this up. This folded edge comes up to that diagonal there. Let's work the paper into the corner till it pops open. And then let's take this flap and fold it in right along the edge of that square. And let's continue to do the final one. Lifting this flap up. Now you don't have a diagonal to line up with, but it's just a simple way of taking this corner and just bringing it over to this corner here, like that. And then again, follow it to the outside, making a nice crease. And then you're taking the flap and bringing it forward and reinforcing that edge there. Okay. So let's get these guys back and let's bring them all in. It should collapse like this. And then you can actually take and let's reinforce this here. That'll kind of lock the panels in, which works really well. Just pinch, pinch, pinch along the bottom. You have a nice square here. And so now the petals are trained to kind of be in the center, but we need the topper to hold it all together, which is the center part of the model. So now I have our, we're going to work with the top part of the persimmon. We want to start with the color side face up if you're using, traditional origami paper. And then we want to fold this into fourths. So the best way to do this is this way. We're going to fold this in half. Again, the color side should be face up, and you should be looking at the back side of the paper here. And let's follow with our creasing tool and then unfold. And now we're going to take the top and bottom edges and bring that forward to the center. This, I like to rotate my model and fold forward. So I've rotated it. So we have this and follow with the creasing tool like that. Let's unfold it. Let's rotate and we're going to repeat. So let's fold this in half into a rectangle. Make that crease. Let's follow with the tool, unfold, and then fold the top and bottom flap because we need to divide this into 16 squares. And follow with our tool and unfold. So now we have our grid of 16 squares. And what we want to do now is to take the paper, and these all have to be valley folds on this side. Let's turn it over to the other side. And we're going to fold the four corners to the middle. Now there's a particular way that I do it that really makes it nice and even. Let's take one corner, bring it right up to the center and fold. Now you're going to take the next one, which is the opposite point, and fold that in. Now you fold the other two remaining flaps, and you will find you're pretty close to accurate when you do this. Sometimes when you do this fold, which is called a blintz fold, when you fold clockwise or counterclockwise, you're always way off by the time you get to the end. And so this will help eliminate that. So once you have that, let's unfold those 4 flaps. Let's turn the model over. We're looking at the color side. And do you see this square of 4 squares here in the middle? Right here where it hits the diagonal, you want to push this in, and what happens is the paper pops up because you've created a series of mountains and valleys that make it do that. Once you do this, this is a really cool maneuver that you can do all at one time. You see this square here. You see these corners that are between the outer points here. What we need to do is bring all of those 4 points to the center. Now, it should be pretty easy because your paper should be like a bowl shape now. So these points here, you can kind of grab them all at once and bring everybody to the center like that. Looks like a flower, which is kind of cool. And then we just want to squash these all into place. The folds are already there, so it'll just fall right into place. You just got to nudge it. So it looks like this. And let's go ahead and flatten all the way around. And it looks like that. Let's use our creasing tool. And just on the outer edges to make it nice and flat. There you go. Okay. Now you've got these 4 flaps, the 4 corners here in the middle. I'm going to take each corner and fold it to the outside, creating a little flap of a triangular flap like that. Let's do that for all 4 of those flaps. That. The other 2. Okay. Looks great. Let's again use this. And then now you have 4 additional points here. Do you see that? We're going to take each of those and fold those out to the outside like that. And the same for all of the other ones. I like to rotate my model and do this. And you keep going until all 4 have opened up and your model looks like this. So actually, this is the complete top for our persimmon. Fantastic. So now let's grab our persimmon model here. And what we want to do is to install this. These corners go into, if you look at your top, that last step that we did, we need to first unfold them. So let's go ahead and unfold all 4 of those. So you're back to this stage here. Each corner of the persimmon will slide into this pocket. If you look at the side here, there's a pocket on the side of your top. And you see this is a triangular shape. So you take the point of your persimmon. This is going to slide into that pocket. And you push it in all the way until it gets to the point here. And then what you have to do is refold this flap back out. And that actually will lock that part of the persimmon. And so let's go ahead and do the remaining 3. Let's take this next one. Again, you want to find the pocket that's on the outside here, right? Slide that in all the way. So make sure you've unfolded that flap, right? And you can actually kind of see it through the gap there. And then let's go ahead and fold that flap out. Let's turn it and continue. So you're going to take this slides underneath in that pocket there, push it all the way to the end, refold that point like this, pinch it really well. Then we've got 1 more to go. So let's see, where did he go? Okay, here he is. And so we want to slip that all the way in like that, and then take the point and put it up. And that is your persimmon. See, it has a nice lock to it. And a finish, a really nice finish to this is if you actually kind of give these points a little curl so it won't look so straight. and it has a little bit of life to it and a little bit of shape, which is pretty amazing. So it is just a little bit like that. And just continue. And give it a good curl. You can use a little curling tool if you want. But that is the persimmon for today's class. So I hope you enjoyed this wonderful class on this wonderful persimmon and or tomato, whichever color you want to do. And for more great videos, check out the YouTube channel Paper Tree SF. Thanks for joining me and happy folding.